Hello and welcome to Wisdom Trek. This is Guthrie Chamberlain, and I'm your guide to wisdom and creating a living legacy. Thank you for joining us for our 7-day-a-week 7 Minutes of Wisdom podcast. This is day 194 of our trek, and yesterday we learned the importance of collecting the dots of the trails of life so that you can connect the dots as you move onward and forward on your trek of life. Today and tomorrow we are going to hike Rationalized Mountain and determine some of the reasons why we rationalize all sorts of actions and behaviors in our lives. If you miss any of the days of our Wisdom Trek episodes, please go to wisdom-trek.com and listen to them and to read our daily journal. We are recording our podcast from our studios at Home 2 in Charlotte, North Carolina. Paula and I are looking forward to a date night on Friday as we were gifted tickets to the performance of Charles Dickens' The Christmas Carol. It's one of our favorite stories of the Christmas season, and we're looking forward to going. But we do have a long trek today, so let's begin and see how far we can hike, and then we'll finish up our hike tomorrow. As we view Rationalized Mountain from the foothills, we start to come up with the reasons why we just might not want to move forward. We might not want to face the fact that when we start to rationalize our actions in life, most of the times we are just telling ourselves rational lies to justify the actions that we take. So our trek today will be called Rationalize or Rational Lies. Which is it? Are you rationalizing your decisions? Let me answer that real quick for you. Yes, you are. We all do. I do, and so do you. Even the very first two humans, Adam and Eve, rationalized their choices in the Garden of Eden, as is written in Genesis 3, verses 11 through 13, and this is how it reads. Who told you you were naked? The Lord God asked. Have you eaten from the tree whose fruit I commanded you not to eat? The man replied, It was this woman you gave me, who gave me the fruit, and I ate it. Then the Lord God asked the woman, What have you done? The serpent deceived me, she replied. That is why I ate. So you see, rationalization is as old as humans. Let's move forward on our hike and we will discover why we as humans rationalize all of our decisions. We'll look at the differences between what we think influences our decisions and what really influences our decisions. Third, we'll see how being aware of this can help you to make better decisions. And fourth, knowing this, how can you help influence others by appealing to their right motives? But first, let's look at why we rationalize. We humans rationalize our decisions, all of us, every day. But I can show you how we can start spotting when you're rationalizing your decisions and how to discover the real reasons behind your decisions that you make. Then I'll show you how to use this to start making more rational decisions. Let's say you go into an electronics store. A salesman talks you into buying the newest gadget with dozens of features that you don't really need. Then you get home and someone asks you why you bought it. You might well answer, well, it does this and that and has this cool feature, and look how useful this little feature is. The problem is that you find out that you don't really end up using many of those features ever again after the first time that you try them. This shows you that you didn't really buy the gadget for those features. You bought it because you had a rush of emotions and really wanted the gadget when you were at the store. And when someone points out how silly your decision was, you rationalize with all these features and show how actually you did make a good decision. So there's the first reason why humans rationalize. We rationalize to protect our ego. But that's not the only reason. Another reason is that we like to think that we do act rationally. We like to think that we make all of our decisions based on logic. If you're thinking right now, I do make all my decisions based on logic, then this podcast might make you a little uncomfortable. I don't expect you to immediately accept my premise. I'm just asking you to keep an open mind and consider what I have to say. And as you're listening to this, try to think of times in your life when what I am saying might have been true. In a moment, I'm going to show you that you don't make all of your decisions rationally, but also it doesn't mean that you're irrational or impulsive, being fully controlled by your emotions. As with everything that humans do, the truth lies somewhere in between. It's all about balance. Let's continue upward on our trail as we consider another reason why we rationalize. For example, let's think about the argument between using a Windows PC or a Mac. Since Paul and I have been in the technology industry for over 30 years, we started in the business at the birth of the personal computer era. Now, the argument on whether the PC or the Mac is a better computer is based on you as an individual, your desires, the features, and your finances. The argument between these two choices continues every day. It used to be more distinct than it is now, but with so many web-based programs, the traditional arguments are starting to fade. But you weigh the pros and cons, and you make a logical decision. Or did you rationalize again, and your decision was actually based on emotion? The second reason that we rationalize is, we rationalize because we like to maintain the self-image of being a logical and rational being. The decisions you make are closely tied to your self-image. Now, I might be making you a little bit uncomfortable there if you've never considered this before. But don't worry, I don't expect you to immediately give up your self-image. I'm just asking you to keep an open mind and consider the possibility that this might be right. I'll try to show you some compelling reasons in the rest of the podcast for today and tomorrow. Then you can watch for it in your own life and decide if I'm right based on your own personal experiences. Now, the second major reason is what we think influences our decisions versus what really influences our decision. Here are a few questions for you to consider. First, why are motorcycles owned mostly by men? Second, why do men participate in team sports much more than women do? And third, why are men more fascinated by technological gadgets and women are more fascinated by clothing and shoes? Now here's a hint. None of the answers are based on logic. Take a few moments to consider those questions. While I don't usually like to generalize, here are some answers to the questions. Here's the answer to the question about motorcycles. Because men have a biologically hardwired need for the feeling of freedom more so than women do. Men appear to have a greater need for significance, women for security, and both of these are emotionally driven traits. And the answer to participating in team sports, men have a hardwired need to be more competitive and knowing our ranking among other males. It's the whole alpha male, beta male hierarchy. In the past, men used to fight each other to find out who was the dominant guy. Today, since we are civilized, we use sports and other forms of competition instead. Once again, this is emotion with little logic. And the third question about technology and clothing, this one's a little more difficult to determine, and you may not agree with me, but my thoughts are that men are naturally more curious about devices and they desire to know how they work, while women care more about how they look. There's always exceptions, but generally most men don't have this fashion sense that women do. I mean, some of the things that we wear are pretty deplorable. Okay, even if you don't fully agree with my answers, here is the realization I'd like you to take away. Not everything that we do has a logical reason behind it. So what influences our decisions? We like to feel good about ourselves, we like to feel important, we like to feel attractive, and we like to feel love. Notice a pattern here? Emotions drive most of our decisions. Sure, you can use perceived logic to carry out those needs. You desire to buy cars, boats, clothing, and jewelry that are more expensive than you really need if you need them at all, and you even go into debt to do so. Once you make the decision to purchase, in your mind, you logically decide the parameters that make the right decisions, and then logically decide how much you can afford to spend, and then you logically justify your purchase. Now, what I just said might seem a bit confusing, but that's because our thought process is pretty complicated. We are always mixing emotion and logic when we make our decisions. Just remember one thing. The first step is always made by emotion, never by logic. So on our first part of our hike up Rationalized Mountain, we explored why we rationalize when we're making decisions. And tomorrow we'll finish our hike as we explore how to make better decisions ourselves and how we can help others to make better decisions. But one good decision you can make today is to share Wisdom Trek with your family and friends and encourage them to join us, and then come along yourself tomorrow for another day of Wisdom Trek, creating a legacy, as we continue our hike up Rationalized Mountain. That will finish our podcast for today. Remember to listen to your daily dose of wisdom each day at wisdom-trek.com, or please subscribe at iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or any of the other social media platforms. And please share Wisdom Trek with your family and friends through email, Facebook, Twitter, or in person as you meet with them, and invite them to come along with us each day. The journal for today's trek can be found at wisdom-trek.com. Thank you for allowing me to be your guide, your mentor, but most importantly, I do consider you my friend, as I serve you through the Wisdom Trek podcast and journal each day. As we take this trek together, let us always live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, and leave a living legacy each day. This is Guthrie Chamberlain, reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and then create a great day every day. See you tomorrow.